gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the My Two Cents podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. I am G2. This is episode 246 of the podcast, and I want to start off by asking every single one of you, how are you guys doing? I'm hoping that everyone had a good to great to lovely week. If you did not, I'm hoping that this upcoming week will be better than the last. And if you did have a good to great to lovely week, I'm hoping that you are able to carry that momentum into this week, and I hope that it will continue on. I would like to start off by, first and foremost, giving a happy birthday to my mother. My mother's birthday was just yesterday. I was able to spend time with her there, and I'm glad to say that I still have my mother around. I know there's people that are younger than me, there's people that are older than me that don't have their mother around, and I do want to say that I am glad to have my mother around. I am glad to know that I'm able to still call her whenever I need to talk with her about something. I'm glad to know that I'm able to meet with her in person because, again, not a lot of people are able to do so. So, again, I just want to say happy birthday to my mother once again. And getting off of the birthday wishes, I would like to tell everyone, as I do every Sunday, please do not stress out over things that you cannot control. Please do not take other people's stress and put it onto you, which will then in turn make you more stressed out. Only take care / handle things that are meant for you and only stress out over those things. And even then, don't stress out so much because whatever you can handle, whatever you can't handle, don't worry about it. Because I've said it before and I'll constantly say it. Stress is a hidden killer. It attacks you mentally, it attacks you physically, and it just draws you weaker and weaker. And with your body being weaker and with your mental and physical health being weaker, your demise is coming much more faster than it should be. You know what I mean? And I don't want it to happen to people. I want people to try to live as much as they can before the end happens, but do not stress out over things you cannot control. Do not take on anybody else's problems and make it your stress. Don't do that. Please don't. With that being said, getting off of that, let's get on to our National Food Days of the week here. Today, being September 21st, it is Pecan Cookie Day. September 22nd will be Ice Cream Cone Day. September 23rd will be White Chocolate Day. September 24th will be Cherries Jubilee Day. September 25th will be Lobster Day. September 26th will be Dumpling Day, as well as Key Lime Pie Day. And then to round us out, September 27th will be Corned Beef Hash Day, as well as Chocolate Milk Day. So, now with the National Food Days out of the way, it's now time for me to move on into the news that happened this week. And I want to start off with the Associated Press. Associated Press would write up an article saying that prosecutor says that stalking suspect ambushed Pennsylvania police officers, killing 3 of them. In the article, it would state that a suspected stalker armed with a rifle hid inside his ex-girlfriend's home in the rolling farmland of southern Pennsylvania and ambushed police officers who came to arrest him, killing 3 of them in a shootout, a prosecutor said Thursday. 2 other officers were seriously wounded before police shot the suspect to death in a hail of gunfire that capped a 15-hour ordeal after a trail camera captured an image of the suspect armed with an AR-style rifle peering through a scope into the house Tuesday night. Now, in the article, they would break down how the shooting unfolded. They would say that the ex-girlfriend and her mom called the police and then fled the house for their safety after the officers dispatched Tuesday night. They were unable to find him there. Police didn't find him at his own home, so they arrived back at the house Wednesday afternoon. Using a drone, 6 officers scoured the property, including farm buildings, before they noticed the door to the home was unlocked, even though the ex-girlfriend and her mom had locked it before fleeing. 4 plainclothes detectives from northern York County, wearing bulletproof vests, opened the door and were immediately fired on by the suspect, 24-year-old Matthew Ruth, who was carrying an AR-style rifle with a suppressor. The York County District Attorney Tim Baker would say. Baker would also say he believed that Ruth had planned to ambush his ex-girlfriend before the detectives walked in. Ruth would then fire multiple rounds, killing 3 of the officers at the door and seriously wounding the 4th. A gunfire then ensued between Ruth and 2 officers outside. Ruth wounded a York County Sheriff's deputy before he and another Northern York County officer shot the gunman to death by the road, Baker would say. So they gave out the names for the officers that would die in this situation. The police that did die was Detective Sergeant Cody Becker, Detective Mark Baker, and Detective Isaiah Emancer were killed. So rest in peace to those 3 officers. I just want to give this as a warning here for anyone that is dating out here. Please look after yourself. Please look after your mental well-being. Please look after your physical well-being. Even if you're in a relationship or in this dating phase, please look after yourself and please know your red flags. Because if you are in that dating phase or even in a relationship phase, know the red flags that your partner or potential partner could alert to you, and please take those red flags as a serious thing. I know certain red flags might be little petty things that you can get over, but if it's one of those red flags that you cannot get over, please make a nice note to yourself and have that battle and say, can you still stay within this relationship or dip out? I have no idea the relationship that the ex-girlfriend here and the dude, Ruth, had. I have no idea how long they were together, but for him to be scoping out the ex-girlfriend, that's a problem. They will put in articles about this right here. The ex-girlfriend's pickup truck mysteriously caught on fire one night in August. She just suspected that Ruth was behind it, but she asked the police not to investigate it. Instead, she and her mother put up the trail camera and nearly a month later called police when they discovered an image of him wearing camouflage and peering into the house through what the detective would call a scope-like device. So the ex-boyfriend was literally looking in or trying to peep into the home, and that's weird and stalker behavior. And again, I know people won't know if their partner or the person that they're could potentially be in a relationship is a stalker or not. But I'm just saying, just keep your eyes open and just look out for the red flags. That's all I'm trying to say with this story right here. Again, I do want to give condolences to the 3 officers that did lose their lives while on duty. But I just want people in relationships to, once again, look at red flags. That's all I'm trying to say. When you're on a date or you're initially dating someone, you're dating the representative or you're meeting the representative of that person. Sometimes certain people are not even, you're not meeting the representative, you might be meeting the real them. And again, sometimes you can just get over the red flags or the little things that might annoy you at first or might cause you to trip up a little bit. If that person looks good or they give you conversation or whatever it is, those little red flags you might be able to look over. In this day and age, I would say you can't really look over little red flags like that or just anything, because I don't want people to end up on Dateline. I don't want people to end up on First 48. I don't want people to say that they are dating someone and then they at first said, well, I noticed you had the red flag, but then I was able to get over that because of, again, whatever physical or mental trait that the other person has that intrigues them. They were able to look past it because of that. And then later down the line, that red flag pops up again. Red flag pops up again. And now it's like a thing. And now you don't know how you were able to even deal with this person. And then you break up, and then you don't know how this person reacts, because nobody knows how anybody reacts whenever they break up with someone. Certain people become stalkers. Certain people are able to get over it. Certain people might have a little hard time to get over that relationship. But I'm just saying, look after yourself. That's all I'm trying to say with this news story. And just look after the red flags if somebody happens to do something. That's all I'm trying to say here with this. But again, rest in peace, condolences to the officers here. And yeah, man, there's no more left to truly be said about this. So moving off of this news story, continuing on onto the next news story, still coming from Associated Press, is about California. California now bans most law enforcement officers from wearing masks during operations. California became the first state to ban most law enforcement officers, including federal immigrant agents, from covering their faces while conducting official business under a bill that was signed Saturday by Governor Gavin Newsom and swiftly denounced by Trump administration officials. The ban is a direct response to recent immigration raids in Los Angeles, where federal agents wore masks while making mass arrests. The raids prompted days of protests and led President Donald Trump to deploy National Guard troops and Marines to the area. Newsom said at a news conference in Los Angeles, where he signed the bill, flamed by state lawmakers, education leaders, and immigrant community members, that California is unique in that 27% of its residents are foreign born. He will say, "We celebrate that diversity. It's what makes California great. It's what makes America great. It is under assault." The Democratic governor said the state is pushing back against the practice of masked agents without identification or badge numbers detaining people on the streets. The impact of these policies all across the city, our state, and nation are terrifying. It's like a dystopian sci-fi movie. Unmarked cars, people in masks, people quite literally disappearing, no due process, no rights, no right in a democracy where we have rights, immigrants have rights, and we have the right to stand and push back, and that's what we're doing here today. In the article, they will say Trump administration officials have defended the use of masks, saying immigrant agents face strident and increasing harassment in public and online as they carry out enforcement in service of Trump's drive towards mass deportation. Obstructing their identities is necessary for the safety of the agents and their families, officials contend. So the big thing coming out of this article is that California is passing a bill that bars agents from wearing masks. And again, I want to clarify this. The Democratic governor said the state is pushing back against the practice of masked agents without identification or badge numbers detaining people on the streets. So, just in my thought process, if you were able to have your identification or badge number out there for the people to see, I don't think they would have a problem with you wearing a mask on your face. But that would kind of be like defeating the purpose. Because my understanding is that if you're an ICE agent going out there and trying to deport people, you wear the mask to cover your face so nobody knows who you are, so you can still stay one amongst the people and kind of be a rat in certain cases, because you got certain people that might be Hispanic working in ICE because they have some ideologies that might fall into that. And you would want them to be able to communicate with other people in the Latin community or whatever the case may be, because ICE is used for, I'm going to say it now, majority of the Hispanic community over there in California. You want, again, the officer to be able to go amongst his people or go amongst the people and just hide out with them. And if he gets some situation knowing that someone is not here, quote unquote, legally, he can send that message back to the people, and then guess what? More than less, probably get them wrapped up out of here. Now, with the mask being taken off of them, you can't hide your identity. The people will know who you are. And again, it's more, I say, affecting the Hispanic officers, because I don't think it'll really affect the white officers like that unless, again, they're playing the, oh, I hate ICE too, I don't like what they're doing type card, and they're not really saying that they're a part of that agency. That's the only way I feel that that's going to really hurt them. But other than that, if you're an agent of ICE and you're already doing the job, I mean, and your face is covered, and now you gotta have your face being shown to the public, what? They're gonna say, oh, he's a part of ICE. Okay, that's about it. There's no more nor less to it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, for me, I think this is more for the people that are in the Hispanic community, and you are an officer, and you're, again, have those ideologies of the current regime, and in a way, you're selling out your own people. So this is a bill just to go after them. And again, I have no harm or qualms about it because, one, I'm not a California resident, so this doesn't affect me at all. And two, I think it's smart because it will showcase to the Hispanic community that you guys have rats among you. And if someone in your family or someone that you know works as an officer, they should be kind of telling you exactly who is a part of an agency that's going to try to pick them up. I would think that. And again, I just think this is more towards the Hispanic community with the whole mask being taken off your face. White people having their face covered, no badge, no numbers, and now their mask going to be taken off. Again, I don't think it's going to harm them at all. It'll just be business as usual. But for the Hispanic community, if you have a person that's in your community that's an officer that works for ICE, I think this will be a way to point a light on them and say, oh, so you are working for them. You're not just a regular officer, you're working for them. Because you got people in all ethnicities that work as officers. You got people that are Asian that are officers, people that are black, white, Hispanic. Any race can be an officer. But again, with what's going on, at least in this regime, I would think that if you are someone of Hispanic nationality, Hispanic ethnicity, I would just think that the Hispanic community would just look at you a type of way because right now, ICE is trying to just take, I'll say again, over there in the California area, trying to take the Hispanic community out of there. And I just feel that if the Hispanic community sees one of theirs working as an ICE agent, I just think that will shine more light and say, oh, no, this ain't right. This is not good. This is not right. And I think the person that will probably be in danger is probably that ICE agent and like his relatives more than anything. But again, we'll wait and see what happens there. I would love for there to be a study of how many people in ICE or of Hispanic ethnicity, because I think putting that type of number out there to, again, the American public the way it is, I think that will open up a couple of eyes, and I think that will have a uncomfortable talk in the Hispanic community. But again, I'm not part of that, so I'll leave my hat out of that. But that's what's going on over there in California, so want to get that out the way. And I'm moving off of that, I want to give an update on the 21-year-old that was found hanging from a tree at Delta State University. I talked about this on my Wednesday episode, and again, this is just an update on that. They're saying now the family is seeking an independent autopsy. According to Delta State University, the body of Trey Reed was discovered around 7 a.m. on Monday by a facility member near the pickleball courts on its campus. In a statement issued Monday evening, the police chief said there was no evidence of foul play. The medical examiner's office conducted an autopsy on Wednesday. Findings were consistent with the initial investigation, determining the cause of death to be hanging in a manner of death as suicide. The Cleveland Police Department said in a press release, adding that final toxicology results are pending and may take 2 to 4 weeks to complete. So you would then have the family have to get a lawyer, and their lawyer is Ben Crump. He's the guy that pops up at every Black Injustice. He has now said that they will seek an autopsy as soon as his body is released by the state medical examiner, and that the Know Your Rights Camp Autopsy Initiative that was funded by Former NFL quarterback and activist Colin Kaepernick will pay for the autopsy. Crump said in a statement, Trey's death invoked the collective memory of a community that suffered a historic wound over many deaths. Peace will come only by getting the truth. So right now, they're trying to seek out the truth about if Trey did have any type of self-inflicting wounds on him, or if he had any type of wounds on him. And again, the whole thing is just suspicious. Again, black man in the South hanged, and they're trying to say it was self-inflicted. It just doesn't roll off the tongue as well as you think it does. And I'm going to get to another thing that doesn't roll off the tongue whenever you think about it too, in the whole Charlie Kirk situation, but I'll get to that in a minute. But this just doesn't roll off the tongue as much. Again, I don't think that just a black man in the South, knowing if he's, 21, I'm only 29, so he ain't that far away from me. It's 8 years. That's, I don't think teachings went that far different, but knowing that time period, the way I was growing up and the way that I know I was then as well, you knew if you were in the South, you knew about our back history in the South. You knew about black people's back history in the South, how we were treated back then, and how it's in certain places in the South hasn't really changed as much. In certain places it has changed. But you always keep that in the back of your head as a black man. And I don't think as a black man or even a black civilian in the South, you think if you do have those mindset to self-transition, and I'm just going to say this right now, this is a trigger warning because I'm about to get deep. If you have this thought to self-transition, I don't think you choose a hanging. I don't think you choose something that has caused damage to the black community, especially in the South, as your way to go. I don't think so. I think you choose something else that probably could be less painless to you, like probably take pills and hopefully go to sleep and let your body go into shock or something as you're sleeping, or you again get the self-inflicting type of business where you get a gun and take care of your business that way. Again, you go and do different routes. I would feel if you felt that way as a black man in the South. I just don't think you would go by a hanging situation. But again, it's just weird hearing this just announced this way, and I hope that the family does do and get an autopsy. I hope that they do see some type of wounds, because I think that would just be better for the family, because then they can say, oh, someone attacked my baby. Okay, now we got to find the people that did attack my baby and did all this type of stuff. We got to do all that type of stuff and try to get justice. But just on the chance that there is no self-inflicting wounds on this man's body, and he did have a mindset and he decided to self-transition, I hope that the family can find some peace with this. I know at first, and whenever the results happen, and if he did do this to himself, I know there won't be any peace at first. It's just going to reopen that wound big time again and add more layers to it. But I hope the family finds peace either way. That's all I really do hope for. A life is lost. There's nothing that you can do about that now. But I hope the family does find some type of peace, and I hope the family does get some justice. I really do. But we'll wait and see whenever an autopsy report comes back, and hopefully it goes into the news. And when it does, I'll bring it right back to you guys here. With that being said, before I get into the whole Jimmy Kimmel, Charlie Kirk, all business, I had to do one more update here. Travis Decker, he was the father that they said had allegedly killed his 3 daughters, I believe, back in May. They have said that they found like belongings to Decker. They are saying that they found some human remains, and the human remains, or shall I say remains, because they're not saying if it's humans or not, was found less than a mile from where his 3 daughters' bodies were found in June. So right now they're trying to say that it's Travis, but they gotta get some, not really get some, but do a DNA testing to see if that's his remains or not. So that's the information that we have right now, at least on the Travis Decker situation. But again, when more information comes out, I'll bring it back to you here, because this is another one I am truly interested about, because this is about a story of a father who has 3 daughters. And again, allegedly he put down his 3 daughters and he went on the run, and the police have been chasing after him, looking for him for all these months. And now you mean to tell me you guys have found remains that were a mile away from where his 3 daughters' bodies were found in June? Yeah, that's interesting to me. So again, whenever they bring that DNA results back from the remains, I'll bring it back here if it is Travis Decker's. And even if it's not, I'm just going to do a quick report and say that it's not. But we'll wait and see what happens there. Now, moving off of Travis Decker, let's get into it. The whole Jimmy Kimmel, if I'm not mistaken, Jimmy Kimmel and Charlie Kirk, not Charlie Kirk, but Jimmy Kimmel just being ousted off of late night TV for now. But before I get into that, I got to put up a little disclaimer right here. The thoughts that you're about to hear come from G2, no one else. I have no political stance with either side or any side, only my side. I am not here to push a Democratic, Republican agenda on this podcast. I'm just here to just read off what I see and give off my opinions on things that's happening right now. So, with that stated, now let's talk about it. Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel, if I'm not mistaken, beginning of this week, he was kicked off of ABC, or ABC pulled. ABC decided to pull him because of, not going to say his remarks, but more him playing Donald Trump's remarks on Charlie Kirk's passing. And the video is Donald Trump not really paying attention too much to a reporter asking him about Charlie Kirk's passing. He kind of just sidesteps that and talks about repairs that I believe is happening over in the White House. And Kimmel would make some remarks saying how Charlie Kirk was supposedly a friend of Donald Trump's family, and for Donald not to even acknowledge Kirk like that, he said something, right? That would ultimately get Kimmel pulled from ABC. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's still off of ABC right now. But at the time of me saying this, Variety did put out a news article saying that Jimmy Kimmel and Disney worked to reach compromise to bring his show back. The veterans, host business, and legal representatives are deep in discussion with Disney and ABC leaders in the hopes of finding a path to a compromise that would allow for the return of Jimmy Kimmel live, according to 3 people with knowledge of the situation. So that's what Variety at least has right now. But I've seen a lot of people talk about how this is attack of the First Amendment, the freedom of speech. And at first you saw people on the Republican side happy about seeing Kimmel getting pulled off ABC, saying that's them saying that you shouldn't be saying this type of stuff about a hero like Charlie Kirk and all this stuff. And then you got certain people on the right going along with the people that are on the left saying, yo, dog, this isn't good. This is not right. Why is Jimmy Kimmel pulled off? He shouldn't have been pulled off because of what he said. That's not what we do here in America. And again, they go with the whole freedom of speech thing. Here's my whole thought process on this. And I said this last Sunday here. Charlie Kirk, I never spoke about this man, not once, on my whole entire podcasting situation since I've been doing this. I never spoke about this guy at all, and I didn't even know this guy at all until he passed away. And now everything's Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk. I don't want this thing to turn into this man being, again, changed up and formed into a martyr, formed into some type of big leader like Martin Luther King, the way that we champion Martin Luther King here in the United States. I don't want that to happen for Charlie Kirk, because Charlie Kirk was nothing but a pundit. Yes, he went to colleges and talked to college kids about his viewpoints, and he did challenge or have the discussions to them about their viewpoints and his viewpoints, which I cannot have any problems with that, because guess what? You just had a conversation. It ain't like you were forcing it onto them. It ain't like saying, hey, come and talk to me. No, you were giving anybody a free open mic to speak with you, and they were able to do so. So I can't hate on that. And personally, I like that. I like when people are able to have those civil discourses with people that they might not agree with, and you're able to at least try to see if you can change their mind or see where they're coming from. So I'm not hating on that. But Charlie Kirk, again, if you didn't know much about him, like myself, people would pull out the receipts about what he said and some of the ideologies that he had. And those ideologies did not represent America as a whole. It might respect certain sections of America, but when you think of America, you don't supposed to think of that. You're supposed to think of everybody coming together, unity, all that patriotic type stuff. That's what you're supposed to think of with America, not some of the stuff that he was spewing about certain groups. But we live in America. You have freedom of speech. You have the First Amendment. That does not make it freedom from consequence, because you got to remember, certain things you might say over here in America, there are some consequences to you having that right to say something. But when you are a television host and you are only using video that the president said or lack of said, because again, President Trump just bypassed the whole Charlie Kirk thing, you cannot then try to get him ousted for showcasing that and showcasing to everyone, saying that, hey, Trump does not care about y'all like that. Trump's just out here doing what he's doing. You guys are not a friend to him. That's not something to get ousted from your job. I don't care who you are, whether you be a doctor, whether you be a lawyer, whether you be a clerk, whether you be white collar, blue collar. That's not something to get you ousted from your job. Now, if you had some Nazi, and I mean some hard Nazi ideology, then I can say, yeah, that should get you knocked out of here. I feel that there are certain things in this world we should never, ever put up with, or even say, well, let me see about their viewpoints on this thing. I mean, yeah, sure, you can have the discussion with them, but in totality, I think certain viewpoints should not be championed by any groups. And I think Nazi ideology should never be championed by any viewpoints. I think people that are into children, pedophiles, or people that are into teenagers, and I mean like 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, they should not be able to speak about their fixation on them like that. Do that with a doctor that's trying to help you out, but in the free world, like when people have podcasts or YouTube videos or something like that, no, you should not be able to speak about that at all, because that is nasty business. Like, you know what I mean? There are certain things that you should be able to put a muzzle on people. And I feel that, again, Nazi rhetoric and touching children, taking children, all that type of stuff, I feel that stuff should be put a muzzle on. And Jimmy Kimmel, again, didn't do none of that. Jimmy Kimmel just said what he said, or played a video about Trump with Charlie Kirk in it, or lack of in it, and he got clipped by ABC. Now, again, people think this is a First Amendment fight, but people have been mentioning that the group that is, I'm not going to say in ABC, but there's a group called Next Star Media Group. They are trying to acquire another media conglomeration for, if I'm not mistaken, $6.2 billion. That is the deal that's trying to happen between Nexstar Media and this other media conglomerate, and if the FCC, who they're saying that the chairman or the CEO, COO, the person in charge of the FCC right now, he's a Trumper, and that Trump has to sign off on this deal to happen so this big media conglomeration can basically own one of the biggest media, or form one of the biggest media, what is it? Because I learned this over in college with this, because you can't really do this in news and television. Yeah, you can't own a big piece of the... You can't own a big piece of entertainment, the news. You can't do it. It's like if ABC were to buy CBS. And I think they did this back in the day too. That's the reason how you got CBS now. Or ABC wanted it to. If ABC tried to buy CBS and they were able to do so, the FCC is supposed to say that's not supposed to happen. You cannot do that because now you have a big ownership in the entertainment game, the news media game. You can't do that. You have too much power in this realm that we're in. So now you got to break that up. You got to sell off that. And again, I think either CBS did that with ABC or ABC did that with CBS, and that's how you got one or the two. I do remember this briefly from one of the college classes that I did have that talked about this. So right now, the head of the FCC is trying to make this deal pass. And again, you need Trump's signature on it and all that. So if you take Jimmy Kimmel off television and you're trying to pander to Donald Trump, you can make this deal go through. And again, this will make it one of the biggest media conglomerates. And again, that's not something that you're supposed to do. But since he's the head of FCC, he's a Trumper, he's going to let this thing pass. And again, I think that's nasty too, man. That's disgusting. I think it's nasty I think that's nasty. I think there are certain things that should be put in play, that's put in stone for a reason to make sure things like this doesn't happen. A big media group acquiring another big media group, you can't do that. If it's already put in the bylaw books, you can't be trying to change it now. You can't. Because again, you're just trying to control media. And that's what a lot of companies, a lot of people try to do anyway now. This whole world's all about controlling media. Because if you control media, you control the people. Because people look at media and it's a lot of people that really don't fact check a lot of stuff. A lot of people don't look at other things. They just rather just hear it from one cable company, one news conglomeration, and they take that as gospel. Shoot, you know the deal. If you are in your 20s now, or even in your 30s, if you got parents now, or even older siblings, or even your young siblings, they might come to you, tell you about something. You ask them where they hear this from, because it might sound ridiculous, and they tell you where they heard it from. Then you start fact checking that to see if it was true or not. And then you got to report back to them saying, well, that's not true, or this is missing some context to it, or, okay, that's true. Wow. Those are the only 3 steps that are usually in this with that, especially now with the way media, social networking, and all that stuff is going. And if Nexstar Media, again, acquires this big company and is for $6.2 billion, they will have a big piece of the game in media. And again, media controls the people. That's not supposed to happen. So Jimmy Kimmel is not about First Amendment freedom of speech type deal. No, this is all about money, and this is all about power. That's all it's about. So Disney working with Jimmy Kimmel, that's nothing but, I'm just going to say for me, I'm not going to say smoke and mirrors because Jimmy Kimmel was out, and you had people calling for cancellation of ABC, cancellation of Disney, cancellation for Hulu. You had people doing that. Cool. So I can't say it's a smoke screen, but there's something bigger than just Jimmy Kimmel. That's all I will say about that further down the line. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with this whole Next Star Media Group. Will they be able to acquire this other media group, or will that deal be struck? We'll just have to wait and see. But also, I feel that Jimmy Kimmel might be back on TV this upcoming week. I mean, this week that we're about to be in right now. I think if they don't get Jimmy Kimmel back on television by this week, or if not this week, next week, something more is happening behind the scenes. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, Jimmy Kimmel, I think it was stupid what they tried to do. It's stupid that they attacked Homeboy's, not really his speech, but him just playing off of what Trump said. I think that was dumb. And I think it's more about power and control of media more than Jimmy Kimmel, who was just used as a Ponzi. Now, moving off of that, but still sticking in the Charlie Kirk business, I want to read you guys something here. ABC News would publish this. It would say, House Senate passed National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk ahead of memorial service. The Senate on Thursday unanimously approved a resolution marking October 14th, 2025, Kirk's birthday, a National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk. While on the Senate floor, Senator Rick Scott, the Florida Republican leading the passage of resolution, said he is proud to have the support of more than 20 of my colleagues to honor Charlie by dedicating his birthday as a day of remembrance. In the approved resolution, the Senate recognized Charlie Kirk for his contributions to civil education and public service and encourages education institutions, civil organizations, and citizens across the United States to observe this day. They would say former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, whose husband Paul was the victim to political violence himself, was among the 22 Democrats who walked out without voting on Kirk resolution, but did vote on the short-term government funding bill. 4 Republicans also skipped the vote. On Friday, the House approved the resolution, despite 96 Democrats declining to support it. So, here's my thing. Again, I just said it. Charlie Kirk is not MLK, Martin Luther King icon or person like that. No, Charlie Kirk again. A guy that was just out here doing what he was doing. He wasn't, again, fighting for the whole civil rights thing. It wasn't that with Charlie Kirk. So for the House and Senate to do a National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk on October 14th, which is Kirk's birthday, but also, it is also George Floyd's birthday. It's going to be real interesting to see October 14th if you have Twitter. And I'm going to say Twitter because Twitter is the only place, more than Instagram, more than, matter of fact, probably Reddit. I'll probably put it up there, Twitter and Reddit. If you have those 2 social media platforms, October 14th is going to be a real funny day to be on the internet. Whether you are for the Republican side, they're going to be recognizing Charlie Kirk, but also condemning George Floyd, because I can see the memes coming from that side when I imagine it. But also the rest of the people that do not stand for Charlie Kirk, the whole National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk. October 14th is going to be a day of memeing the dog crap out of Charlie Kirk in this whole day and making jokes out of this day. I can see October 14th being that. I can see it right now without no hesitation, because the internet is literally cynical. They are going to make jokes. They are going to do whatever they want to do. And again, Twitter is more king for that. Reddit's probably second, but Twitter is so easy for you to tweet something off and get your jokes off, or tweet a meme off and get that off there. And I mean, it's so quick. October 14th is going to be a day to see what's going to happen there. And it's also going to be a day to see how many people are going to be siding for Charlie Kirk and how many people are going to be siding for George Floyd, because people are going to mention George Floyd and saying, not going to say how don't we have a day for George Floyd, but it's just going to be seeing the comparison of how people treat George Floyd and Charlie Kirk is going to be one of those days on October 14th. But yeah, man, it's just so weird. I'm hoping that this is the last time I ever have to mention the name Charlie Kirk on this broadcast. I really do. But with the way that the Republican side is really, again, trying to prop this guy up, I highly doubt it. But I'm going to try my best to make sure I don't ever have to speak about this man again. I'm going to try. So with that, now moving off of this on to Universal Orlando. They had a roller coaster and a man died on it. Associated Press would write about it. They will say that emergency workers who responded to Universal Orlando Resort's newest park for a man who had become unresponsive on a roller coaster originally were told he had lacerations, but when they got to the ride, he wasn't breathing and eventually died, according to radio traffic and a report released Friday by the sheriff's office. Firefighters and Universal emergency workers tried to revive Kevin Zoella, I'm hoping I'm saying that man's name right, on a platform next to the Stardust Racers roller coaster Wednesday. But the 32-year-old man was pronounced dead after being taken to a hospital, according to an incident report from the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Kevin's longtime girlfriend, who was with him, told deputies that he had a pre-existing spinal condition. He used a wheelchair and was taking medication, the report said. After performing an autopsy, the medical examiner for the Orlando area ruled the cause of death as multiple blunt impact injuries and said the manner of death was an accident. The statement from the coroner on Thursday did not mention any details about the injuries, including where on the body they were found. Kevin's family, in an online post, described him on Friday as one of a kind. Despite the restrictions and obstacles he encountered throughout his life, Kevin met them all with grace, strength, and an unwavering spirit. His family said he overcame so much, and he did so with quiet resilience and humility. So, that was a statement from the family there. Universal Orlando Resorts has a spokesperson, and the spokesperson said the resort is cooperating with investigators at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Here's something that I do want to read off to you guys. Florida's largest theme parks are exempt from state safety inspections, unlike smaller venues and fairs. Instead, the large theme parks like Walt Disney World and Universal conduct their own inspections and have their own protocols, but they must report to the state any death or injuries. The State Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, however, said Friday that it had sent an investigator to Epic Universe. Universal has been extremely cooperative and have complied with all required notification, Aaron Keller, the department communications director, said in an email. So right now, they're going to try to continue to look into it, see what happened, see if this was a freak incident or not that ended this man's life. But first and foremost, once again, rest in peace to Mr. Kevin Zoella. And I hope they look into this, and I hope they do the right proper studies, the right proper investigation into the roller coaster ride. And I hope that something pulls out about this, whether it be something faulty about the ride that got him, or this was just a freak accident or something, because again, someone just passing out while they're, or not even passing out, just dipping off and transitioning off this planet while on a roller coaster, that has to be petrifying to the girlfriend and also to the people that was on the ride with that man, because they'll have memories about that, and hopefully that doesn't haunt them. And hopefully, again, they find out what happened there and they can get to the bottom to it. That's all I can throw out here with this situation right here. So, once again, rest in peace to this man, and I hope that the family does get some answers for this situation. Now, with that, now it's time for me to get on to a couple quick hits before I get you guys out of here. The first thing I would like to do is give congratulations to Terrence Crawford. I did not do this on my Wednesday episode. I forgot to do it there, so I'm going to do it here. Congratulations to Terrence Crawford for becoming the unified, I want to say is middleweight. They say super middleweight, but unified middleweight champion. Screw it. Unified middleweight champion. He defeated Canelo Alvarez last Saturday. It went the distance. It went all 12. I saw the highlights of it, and from the way that people talked about it, from seeing the match, they kind of knew that Terrence was going to win it later in the rounds. So again, congratulations to him. Also, congratulations to Cardi B. Cardi is one. First of all, she has her album that just dropped, Am I the Problem, that dropped Friday. And also, she is pregnant with, I believe this is her fourth child. And she did a whole interview with Gayle King that they chopped it up to, I believe, like Wednesday and Friday to the promotion of her album. And congratulations to Cardi. I really am happy that she's pregnant. Congratulations to her. Congratulations to her and her dude. And hopefully people do not try to piss Cardi off as she's going through this pregnancy, because people were already speculating about her being pregnant before she announced it. And yeah, man, she announced it. Congratulations to her on that one. TV shows are back on television now, or back on streaming now. Gen V, this is like the spinoff for, what are they called? The Boys. This series is back. They have their 3 episodes that's available to you now if you got Amazon Prime. I am not going to watch this season yet until all episodes are out. That's how I like to watch streaming episodes or streaming series. I like to make sure all the episodes out so I can just speed run through them instead of waiting. I hate that, but that's a series I'm definitely going to get right back into now that they have a new season out. It's just sad that they're missing one of their actors. One of their actors that was going to play a pivotal part in this season. He passed away, I want to say last year, and I believe it was a motorcycle incident he passed away from. So again, this season, I'm pretty sure they're going to play with the death of his character in some shape, form, or fashion. And yeah, I'm gonna wait until all the episodes out and then watch that season and get my take on it from that. If you haven't seen this, limited series, and it's also on Prime Video, it's a series called Girlfriend. It's about a girlfriend with her boyfriend, and you got the mom that's trying to look after the boyfriend, and the mom is seeing some things that the girlfriend is sketchy on, and that's a nice series for people to watch, especially for people that care a lot about their family members and or friends, because this can go into that realm too, because it's going to showcase to you guys that sometimes you got to let your loved ones go off and do their own thing, and whatever happens to them will happen to them. You can only do so much for them before something happens to you. I'm not going to try to give away the spoiler for it, because again, I think that is a series that I feel a lot of parents and a lot of people that have loved ones should watch, just so they can see that, to know your limits of how much you should do to try to protect someone that you do love. You know what I mean? But that series, again, Girlfriend, limited series on Prime. I think people do need to watch that one. Something for the Kids, Smurfs. The newest Smurf movie just came out on, I believe it's Paramount Plus. Haven't seen it with my sister yet. I'll have to ask her if she wants to see it. But that just came out. Superman, the newest Superman that James Gunn directed, that's out there on HBO Max, so you can go and watch that now too. Is there anything else that I want to put out there? Not right now. I think that's everything that I think people need to be aware of. And just to let everyone know, I'm not getting paid by HBO Max or any of these companies that I'm just giving a nice little shout out to because of their movies and television shows. I just like TV. I like entertainment. I like things that can make me just forget about the world for a minute and allow me just to enjoy myself. So that's the reason why I'm shouting these shows and movies out. And by the way, the Superman movie isn't bad. I thought personally when I saw the trailers for it, that was going to be a straight up movie that just belonged right on streaming. And when I saw the movie, I was like, okay, it changed my mind. James Gunn, he did right. And I believe the next Superman movie is supposed to be coming out, I don't think next year, I think it's supposed to be coming out in 2027. And the way they did this movie, I'm okay. I'm gonna be like, all right, I can't wait to see what the next movie is gonna look like for 2027 for them. So DC, they got good hands with James Gunn. And also, I'm waiting to see how that Peacemaker season 2 is gonna end out, because I haven't seen none of their episodes yet. Season 1 of Peacemaker, I enjoyed. Season 2, whenever I get the notification that the season finale is about to go down, I'm more likely going to speed run throughout the season to get to the season finale, because again, Peacemaker is another one of them shows that if you like comic book heroes and all that type of stuff, I think you will enjoy that one. That does remind me now, Sinners was a movie of the summer. Superman, I'm not going to say movie of the summer, but that was one of the movies that people were anticipating. And the movie that they were also anticipating was Fantastic Four. So it makes me question now, when is Marvel going to put Fantastic Four on their streaming service? Just a thought process, just a thought, just a question to ask. Next month, 2 months from now, I think right around the beginning of October, they should put it up there so people can get an idea of what they want to do for Halloween costumes, the whole Mr. Fantastic, Mrs. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman type thing. I think that will probably be the move for them to do, but we'll wait and see. I believe that's everything on the quick hits that I do want to make mention of. So with that said, now it's time for me to get you guys out of here. I would like to thank all the podcasting sites that have me on here, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Audible, iHeart, all the other podcasting sites that you're listening to me on. I would like to say thank you to you guys for having me on, because without you guys, I would just be I don't know how this podcast would be getting out to the people. I wouldn't know. So I would like to thank them for allowing me to be on. And I would also like to thank you guys, the downloaders and listeners, because without you guys, I'll just be one guy talking to a void, into a mic, and it would go nowhere. And once again, to know that my podcast reaches out not only in the States, but outside of the States, I appreciate that. And I hope that people did take something away from this podcast that they can pull into their real life. Or if you took something from this podcast and you just want to have a conversation with people, I will say this. Put the timestamp for what you listen to, put it into their ear, get their opinion on it, and have a dialogue. So do that if you found something interesting on this episode of the podcast, okay? Yeah. So with that being said, always remember,
I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you.
that is not a gimmick. I truly do love and appreciate every single one of you guys. I already said it, that I appreciate knowing where the podcast downloads are coming from, because I can see that in the algorithm. I appreciate that from everybody from in the States, outside of the States. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I'll be back again with another episode of the podcast Monday, tomorrow, when I talk about WWE's WrestlePalooza and AEW's All Out event. Haven't seen them yet. I'm going to by the time Monday rolls around, again, to get a review of that. So look forward to that review. And you'll get the usual My 2 Cent podcast review, episodes as the week falls up. Wednesday, the midweek breakdown episode. Thursday and Saturday, wrestling episodes. Sunday, newsworthy topics episode. So that's what's to come up from this week to look forward to. But again, Monday, wrestling review. WrestlePalooza, All Out. If you're a wrestling person, look forward to that review. So, with that being said, this has been the My 2 Cents podcast, hosted by G2. He is I, and I am him. I would like to thank everybody for tuning in. This isn't goodbye. This is until you hear from the sweet sounding voice again. And please, ladies and gentlemen, do not be a dick. Try to be kind and courteous to everyone that you do come in contact with. Try to take their emotions or their feelings into account before you do or say anything. And just try to be a nice, kind, and civil human being. Okay? Because we need that now more than ever. And I'll say it again. We need that now more than ever. Alright? So, with all that being said, Kanye, could you please take these people home?
I'm tired, you tired, Jesus wept.